Let's welcome in Yanni Wetzel, San Diego State forward/center for this 19-0 team. And Yanni, you're coming off that huge game, 17 points, 16 rebounds against Nevada. You've done it playing the 4. You've played the 5 with Nathan Mensah out. In your opinion, where have you made the biggest improvement in your game from last year at Vanderbilt to this year with the Aztecs?
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me, first off.
Of course, great to have you on.
Yeah. My biggest improvement is just trying to adapt every day, try and improve on my versatility. So shooting the ball from outside, working on my post moves from both hands, having touch on both sides of the block, passing it out of the block when there's double teams, and just facilitating from that position too.
You know, Yanni, when I think about my young athletic career, you need to have role models, guys that you sort of try to model your play after. Is there a pro or even a former college player, current college player, who you look at and say, yeah, I could probably incorporate that move into my repertoire? You know, I'd like to sort of be that, when I'm a finished product. Is there anybody out there like that for you?
Yeah. I watch a lot of Kevin Love. Well, I used to watch a lot of Kevin Love. I love the way he plays. Way he gets his teammates involved and how he can stretch the floor and kind of do a whole bunch of things. And then from a post move standpoint, I used to watch a lot of Kevin McHale. So he's an old school player, but he had great touch around the rim. So kind of stole a few moves from him, and just kind of, watching the way he moves around in the post has been helpful to my game.
Yanni, we had you on a few weeks ago, and, you were sort of a little bit of an unknown. I mean, if you looked at KJ Fagan and what he had done at Santa Clara, obviously Malachi Flynn at Washington State, you're really good, man.
Thank you.
And we've talked to Dutch and some of the coaches. How do you account for the fact that your game has really taken a leap this year at San Diego State?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I kind of always had it. It was just a matter of finding the right situation, getting the opportunity, and just being put with a bunch of guys and coaches that believed in me and instilled a lot of confidence. So I'm lucky that I've had that this year. I've had Coach Dutch, who gives me a ton of freedom. He allows me to do things all over the floor, and then on top of that, I have great perimeter players around me, which give me the space to do my thing down on the block. It was just kind of finding the right situation for me where I could flourish and really show different aspects of my game.
What's been the biggest challenge for you with Nathan out and you really having to switch your role on the floor? Where does that, how has that changed what you have to do, and where is it most challenging?
The center's a tough position because you got to cover for all the ball screens. You got to battle down low with the big guys, and you're always boxing somebody out. And then on top of that, you got to rim run. And, on the offensive end, you're going against the bigger guys. So the biggest thing of change I've noticed is that the moves that I was making against a 4-man as such is usually between a 6'6" and 6'8" defender. And now I'm going against guys who are 6'10" and have a little beef on them. So I'm just trying to find different ways to score the ball down low. And obviously trying to be an anchor to the defense like Nathan was. I mean, it's tough when I don't have that wingspan, and he's a great defender down there and great shot blocker. So I'm trying to work on that part of my game and help this defense improve.
So what's the biggest weakness of this team, or the weakness is? Look, 19-0, it's been perfect so far, but, even though everybody assumes this team can't be beat by a certain stretch of the imagination, there's always something to fix, always something to work on. What are some of the things as a group you guys are trying to improve at and focused on improving throughout this season?
I think it's not taking any positions off. Consistency is key for us because we know we're as good as anyone in the country, and we know we can beat anyone in the country, but it's just a matter of coming out night in, night out, and every position and doing the same thing, So consistency is key. Playing together, just more on the court, learning each other, what we can do and what we can't do, and finding out each other's assets and playing to that, using that towards our advantage. That's the biggest thing we got to improve on, in my opinion.
Aztecs big man Yanni Wetzel is joining us right now. So, Yanni, let's go back to this last game here against Nevada. You guys are down at halftime.
Yeah.
And they're hitting threes.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you guys come out in the second half. If I'm not mistaken, they shot, 14% in the second half? I mean, just some ridiculous.
Yeah, something like that.
Is this where the coaches get on you at halftime? Or is this sort of a self-policing team where you don't have to be told what you need to do better to take control of a game?
We changed a couple things. So the coaches implemented a couple changes. But on top of that, I think we are a player-led team. So we took it upon ourselves that we're going to start picking up, playing better defense, and the offense is going to come. Shots are going to fall. They didn't fall at a high clip in the first half. So we knew they were going to come because we've got the guys to make them. So we weren't too concerned about that end of the floor. What we changed defensively is that we changed our ball screen coverage. So instead of somewhat corralling the guard as he came off screens, the big man dropped back, and we gave up that mid-range jumper for the guard. So we made them make tough twos, and then luckily they didn't get on a hot streak, and they missed a few, and that's when we got out on our run.
How does it compare playing night in, night out in the SEC, the travel, the teams, and playing night in, night out in the Mountain West? There's the perception, of course, that power leagues are better leagues, but I think people that are not familiar with the Mountain West don't know what goes into playing in this league with the travel and the elevation.
Correct, yeah. The SEC is no night off, so every time you go into an arena, it's going to be sold out, and you're going against a great team, and regardless of who it is, they're going to put up a good fight because they've either got great players or a great coach, and you're going to be battling in an arena which has a crazy atmosphere and environment. So, every night is very exciting in the SEC, and there's never a night off, never a bye night. But what people don't realize about the Mountain West, like you said, often are asleep on the fact that road games are challenging because of the elevation and that we play in the mountains. So places like Wyoming and Utah State that I didn't appreciate as a tough road game until this year, that I'm really affected by the altitude. So I can tell that road games are difficult, and it's not an easy conference to compete in because you're going and playing in these elevated areas, and you're exhausted after the first media timeout. So, no, it's definitely got its own challenge within the Mountain West Conference, and it's still a deep league, even though people may consider this a down year. From top to bottom, there's still a bunch of great teams in this league.
Who's the guy in the locker room who can sort of break up the monotony of, a tough day's practice or long travel, or the pressure situations that many teams are faced with? You need some humor in the room. So who does everybody look to when they need a laugh?
That's a good question. I say KJ and Nolan Durain. They're pretty humorous people, so they always keep it lighthearted and crack some jokes when there needs to be. No, they definitely both know the right time too, being fifth-year seniors. So they've been through it before, and they're comedians. In all honesty.
Let me ask you this, Yanni. Last year, you were on a Vanderbilt team that ended the season on a 20-game losing streak, and now you're on a San Diego State team that is one game away for starting the season, winning 20 in a row. That's an interesting dynamic, Yanni. Okay.
Very.
1 year on a team that loses their last 20 in a row, and now you're on a team that's one game away from winning their first 20. I mean, has it really sunk in for you, for your teammates, when you look at the number 4 national ranking, by the way, more importantly, number 2 in the net, you are being talked about nationally now. I mean, San Diego State is now a national story. I mean, for you personally, coming from what you were at Vanderbilt to where you are now, I mean, it's got to be a shock.
No, I mean, it is. 0-20 was a depressing story, and like I said earlier in the week, the other medias, I wouldn't wish it upon anyone going through the adversity that we did, but the saying, adversity shows a man who he really is. So, I mean, I learned a lot with that team, and it showed a lot about who I was. And, sometimes you can't put all your identity into one thing like basketball. So, it was tough, obviously, going through that period. And I knew after the season that I wanted to flip things around. And I couldn't actually imagine that this would have been the case, the scenario going 19-0 right now. But I knew we would have had a good team coming in. And getting this national recognition is great. Being ranked a top 5 team is pretty I mean, it's surreal to me, honestly, coming from where we were last year. But we know that we're one loss away from losing that number beside our name, so we still got to come every day and treat it like it's the start of the season and we haven't even played a game yet. So, and that's the mindset we all have. We're a veteran group. You know, we got older guys who don't get caught up too much in the statistics and the rankings. So I'm glad that's the scenario, and we're looking forward to getting another one on Tuesday.
Yanni, congratulations again on everything thus far. 19-0, and we appreciate your time. We'll see you tomorrow night at Viejas.
Great. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, that is Yanni Wetzel. Of the three major transfer guys, I mean, he has been the biggest surprise